Today we're going to be watching a video called What was your biggest surprise on arriving in the Netherlands?
The most surprising thing about the Netherlands for somebody from London is how calm and well-behaved Dutch drunk people are.
I was amazed how people were sympathetic and friendly with me.
The surprising me is the country is so small, but the people's mind is so huge.
The
Oh,
thing
that's
that
beautiful.
has astonished me is how friendly they are. If you pass them when you're biking, everyone says hi. In the first couple of days, I wasn't responding because in California we
so
never do
rude.
that.
Whenever I've just been like cycling around or I've been like walking to the shops, people will always say, "Oi."
I find it strange because you don't know them.
You never get that in Southeast London.
It gives you a friendly atmosphere between you, and sometimes it opens up into a conversation. A guy would be walking his dog,
really?
and then he'd start talking about the weather and or whatever after he said hi.
You have to say hello to 40, 50 people on the way. They are very polite, I think over polite.
A guy
He
came
hates
out
it.
with his truck. He had to make a left-hand turn, and I was just sitting at the bench. He pulled out, and he was going like this for about 10 seconds or so, trying to get my attention so he could say hi to me.
When
What?
I came here, all my girlfriends at home said, "Oh, you have a Netherlander." I said, "Why? Why is it so special?" "Oh, they are so open. They are so nice. They are this. They are this, and they are."
The Dutch mentality, the people that they are direct.
Dutch people say everything very directly.
You can have all kinds of thinking. Nobody will feel strange, feel shocked.
They speak very loudly than Japanese people.
Really?
When
Oh
I'm in
god,
class,
Japanese are very
I
calm.
have to speak loudly than normal.
One thing I found really surprising about here is that people give out their bank account numbers to other people. Like that would just
Like they have to
never
make a wire
happen in the
transfer or
United
something?
States. Like, oh, you can pay me. And I said, okay, well, how? Here's my bank account number. That just would not happen.
Coming from the south of Italy, I was just used to the fact that people would not stick to their words. So what I was very surprised is what was the difference between the Italian way of
Are they
hiring a
liars?
person
What's happening
and
in
the way
Italy?
that they say they do it here.
The most surprising, the lack of hierarchy that we see in our organizations compared to the United States.
In Japan, in the school, we have to respect teachers, respect old people. In the Netherlands, after the class, we always drink beer or
Yeah, with your
do
teachers.
karaoke with my teachers. We are very equal, so that is very impressive for me.
I found it very surprising that they throw this most amazing carnival party down in the south, the Catholic south, on a par with Venice or parts
Really?
of South America. You know, that was to see the Dutch going totally wild. That was such a shock.
And she's like, they're not uptight.
Everyone was. I knew there was like.
They're very tall, yeah.
people here. But then when you stand in a concert and there's just no way you're going to see anything. Ever.
The
Impossible.
smell of the country. You can feel the smell of the cows or the sheep.
Oh my
Surprised
God.
me.
That is really surprising because this is everywhere.
I felt
Smells
this
like a
mindset,
farm?
Oh my gosh, I
Stepped into
stepped into something and I started to look my shoe and it was nothing there. And I said, oh my gosh, a bird pooped in my hair. And I started to
No.
look my hair. Then I said, oh my gosh, maybe I'm sick. No, you know.
We don't have the alarm. First time I was here, I
What
didn't
that-
know
what
about
alarm?
it, and suddenly 12 years that woo 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 woo. And I don't know. First it was for
You-
war,
what-
and
what-
then
that's alarming.
for flood. Very very scary. Woo woo woo.
There is a couple of bridges. These bridges are for planes. So you
What?
are driving and plane cross this bridge right above your head. That
What do you mean with that?
is funny for me.
I would be so frightened.
That's
Oh.
very surprising.
The red light district.
Yeah, the red
I
light
didn't know
district.
that, like a country would have that.
I was in Amsterdam walking around on a Sunday morning and I was very, very tired and I needed some coffee. So I politely asked a little old Dutch lady who obviously just came out of church where the nearest coffee shop was. Not knowing what a coffee shop meant in the Netherlands, she proceeded to yell at me and smack me with her purse.
More foreigners will
It's a
like, go to
cafe.
a coffee shop and smoke weed than Dutch people. The drug culture is very small. You go to England where it is illegal straight up, and more people in England smoke weed than they do in the Netherlands.
The service here tends to be
Because
more
it's
focused
illegal.
on the human experience rather than making a quick buck.
if I walk into a restaurant, for example.
After we order, we usually don't see the waiter again. We have to flag them down to get.
He doesn't come and say like, "Hey, is everything okay?"
Also, getting the bill sometimes is a problem.
I have the opportunity to sit and enjoy the conversation that's around me and go when I'm ready to go, unless of course it's closing time. It's incredibly human experience focused.
How the hospital or the doctors work here is very different. If you go
Why?
to India or the US or everywhere, then you've been pumped up with a lot of antibiotics. And here if you go to the hospital, you get paracetamol, that's all. You get, okay, wait for 3 days, see if the fever is still there. Okay, after that you come fully different than most of the countries, I would say.
The biggest surprise to me is that everyone bikes. I find that it's so interesting that the
It is.
older people still bike. They're still able to get around. It's
That's true, actually.
You see 3 people on the one feet, one riding, one on this side, one hanging on the back.
The parking lots would have like 30 cars and 900 bikes.
That's
10%
crazy.
of the parking lot was cars and 90% was bikes.
I knew that this is a biking place and I loved that about Holland, but yeah, they're not afraid to run you over.
Everybody
What?
riding a bicycle, and you have really a road for the bicycles everywhere. It was really a surprise for me.
I have to watch everywhere all the time because bikers are coming from
Oh my God.
directions, and I was
So they're
not sure
they're a
if I'm
hazard.
taking the correct road. Am I on the bike road now, or what is happening?
The wind. The first 2 days I couldn't feel my face.
Oh my God.
I wanted always to stop everywhere and make pic of every windmill.
I understood
Oh, that's so
that
pretty.
it was rain here, but I did not fully appreciate how much. My very
Appreciate?
first year was the coldest, wettest year in over
Oh
100
my
years.
God.
The steps.
What a nice
I remember
welcome.
just how thin and tall the houses were. Looking at them, I wondered how
sad.
people could even live in them.
Coming from Ireland, I
And they're
the
tall.
organisation of everything a total surprise.
How Dutch people are so precise with time. Here the tram comes in 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes, it's leaving.
Yeah, it doesn't wait for no
Someone
one.
running behind it.
You're standing at the bus stop and it says bus in 1 minute, and it comes.
The shops
That's
closing
crazy.
at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. You can't buy
That
anything
early?
after that.
Really?
That was like a big shock for me.
I had
It is for me too.
I couldn't get to a store after 6 o'clock. Or
Yeah, that's
8 o'clock
crazy.
now.
At first, it really irritated me because I thought, oh god, it's so organised here. The more I sort of relaxed into it, and
Okay.
the more time I spent here, I think I'll go over to Holland for a little bit of organisation for a
Oh, yeah, you got used to it. Okay, yeah, it was, this is incredibly, interesting for a lot of things I didn't really know. The thing about, to begin with, the thing about like closing, the stores close at 8 or 6 or 8 p.m. That's very early. It makes me wonder, wait, so how come, like, what do people do, like, their shopping after work? When do they, like, work? Isn't it, like, at 6? Because I think it's normal for a lot of people to, like, work, like, at 5 or 6. So, but if it closes, then how people are doing, like, their shopping? It's, like, after work, you really can't. You have to organize yourself and do your shopping, like, on your day off or on the weekends. I'm shocked by that, seriously. And is it all shops? I'm so confused about this situation of them closing so early. And why do they close so early? And is it everywhere, or is just in the smaller cities? And or does it also mean like Amsterdam? They also, all the shops close that early. And also, like, do you mean that there's like after, like, I don't know, at 9 p.m. are there still people on the street, or is it like a very calm and people are like, no, they're in their houses by 10? I would love to know if Dutch people are just they're not very nocturnal, and they just like, no, they hang around like in their houses, not, in the actual city. But that was one of the things that I'm like, wait, what? Also, something that really did shock me was the smell one. Because of, like, the smell. It's like, well, the smell, because it smells nice. And it's like, oh, it smells like tulips. Although I'm not sure if tulips actually have, a smell. But it's like, no, because it smells like cows and like manure, or maybe just, like, I think farms tend to have like this very specific smell. It's just like, I don't know, it smells like a farm. So everything apparently, like, all Amsterdam also smells like a farm. farm because I'm not. I don't think she mentioned like what city like is that like when she experienced this. But I would love to know if Amsterdam, you could also like there's like a smell of like a farm smell, or it's just in in the cities that are more the rural places where I'm guessing there's a lot of farming. And well, it makes sense, I would guess, like if you're in a rural place for it to like for the city to smell, like a farm and like cows. But she's like, no, it's like I stepped on something. So it's like, well, but it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. I don't know, because it's a farm. Farms can be sort of pleasant. It's a very like, I don't know, like a nature smell. But obviously not all the time. Like sometimes they do smell a little off-putting. So it's like, maybe it's that. And she's like, no, I think what do? You just get used to it. I know, well, yeah, you always get used to it at some point. But it's so funny. Also, the thing about like the lady that was mentioned, like, oh, they're so like on time. Everyone's like, they're very on time. They're very strict. They're very precise, and they're very organized. So it's like at the beginning, obviously you're going to be like, oh my God, it drives me crazy. Like everything's punctual. Everything is organized. But then after a while, of course she got used to it. So she's like, oh my God, I need the order. I can't live like this. I can't live in this chaos and in this disorder. I need to go to the Netherlands. It's like, oh, it's so funny that again, it does go to show you that a lot of these things are, again, it's just like a big cultural shock at first, but then after a while you just sort of like get used to it, and then you also like crave it because maybe you realize, you know what, actually I prefer this. I like this. This goes more along with my personality or my lifestyle, and I just been led on to thinking like, no, the other way and the other method was actually totally wrong for me. But it's just like the big shock of like, oh my God, everyone's so like punctual, and if they say 7, it's on time. And the train, like the other lady that was like, oh, the train's like in 5 minutes away, and she's always like constantly running after the train because she's all constantly late. It's like, oh my God, every time I'm probably thinking, oh, it's gonna be late, but it's like it never happens. So you're the one constantly running late. So you do have to like adjust. But those are I think those are probably like the main things that I got. It's so funny. They're very tall. It's like, yeah, I've known Dutch people, and I don't think I've met any Dutch person that's actually like smaller like in stature. I think they are all very tall. Like that's not a myth. I think that's quite true. And well, obviously, there's gotta be like people that are not that tall, but it's less common, I think. But also something that did shock me a little bit was that they were all like, oh, everyone's super nice. Like they're very polite. They're very nice to you. Like they'll say hi, when you're walking into a place, when you're like in the street, when the people are biking. But it's like it's kind of like a little shocking, because I would think like people are always like, oh, Europeans are very like, they're very cold, and they're very more, maybe not colder, but just like very serious and polite. So I wouldn't expect everyone to be like that friendly, and for people to like smile at you like on the street, because I don't think that they're used to it. But apparently all of them were like, no, they're so friendly. So it's like, okay, so it's the opposite, and people are actually like very friendly with you. And if you're in the street, like they'll make small talk, which I'm kind of shocked, because I've been led to believe, I think maybe it's a myth, I don't know, but I've been led to believe that like Dutch culture is very like, they're very closed. So they don't really like small talk. So it's like, so when you're in the street, or you're like in a queue or something, I don't know, it's like, do not try to make small talk. Do not talk about the weather or whatever, like thing that's happening, because people are not, that's a little bit frowned upon. Like you don't expect a reply, and people are gonna be like, oh my God, what's wrong with this person like trying to talk to me? But it's like, well, no, apparently like they like that. Apparently, I don't know, because I'm so confused, I don't know what to believe. But also something about like the bikes, obviously you've heard, yeah, the bikes, like, they do love their bikes, everyone has a bike. But the thing about like, and I would assume, because they're also structured, they're so organized, that they have it up to like, yeah, it's perfect, everything runs very smoothly. But one of them was like, you actually get scared because of the bikes are coming from all places, and they're not afraid to run you over. It's like, step out of the way. But it's like, well, because you're standing in like where you're not supposed to, because there's like a pedestrian sidewalk, and you're standing on the bike lane, so they don't really care, because they're, I'm in the right, like you're the one wrong, like you have to move, so I don't care, I'll run you over because I'm in my path. So is that situation, or is it maybe they don't really pay that much attention, and you really do have to like, oh my God, like I'm getting run over, I have to like look right or run left, like look at my left side, look at my right side, look at front, I don't know, behind me, to see if there's a bike coming. I don't know, I've never heard of that before, of people being so carelessly with their bikes, but apparently it's a thing because both people, I think they were both of them like mentioned it. So it's not like an isolated incident. I think they're like, no, they really do. You have to be very careful because they'll run you over, and they're like they won't care. But it's like, well, I can't. Is it because you're in the wrong, or is it because they just like very carelessly with their bikes and they're like running wild? I don't know. But and I have to finish this with like the one that says the one lady that said like, oh, but there's like a bridge for airplanes, and I didn't really understand that. It's like, wait, what? So you're like driving and there's like an airplane passing, but it's just like close because there's like a bridge. What? I didn't really understand that. And honestly, it makes me very scared because if you're driving or walking or you're whatever in any method of transportation, and you're just like on the road and you see an airplane pass you by and just like so close to you on top of you, I think it's a frightening situation, and I think you'll be like, what is happening right now? I would love to know more about that bridge situation because apparently it's normal. And she was like, well, yeah, of course you get used to it, but it's not that when you first see it, you're like, what? I think like I was thinking this is the end. I'm gonna die. This is it. And also the alarm. I also didn't really understand. Apparently there's an alarm at 12. I think it was 12. I do not understand why there's an alarm at 12 and at 12 like a.m. or p.m. And she was like, of course I didn't really know, like no one told me. And he was like, what's happening? Is it a flood? Yeah. It's like, you would think there's an earthquake, a tsunami, I don't know, a flood, something's happening. It's like an Amber Alert that there's an alarm, and apparently it's every day. I don't know, I've never heard of it, but so like shocking. I want to find out more about this. I'm gonna look it up because I've never heard of it. But yeah, that was it for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.